Right. So, let's get going. I think that today I've got a few projects. I haven't bought a can of spray. This is got some smudges on it. I don't know if I like that. I might just, now that I have it all together, I might just hit it again with a brush and try and get those edges. I'll do a better job sanding it lightly around the whole thing and take some time doing that. I've got some wood pieces to cut. And then I think that I've got a few other projects to do. I will wait on that stain so I can work on some more woodworking stuff. I'll work on my wicker chair. Do I have enough sticks? Might have to go on a bit of an adventure. So, a big part of me doing all this stuff. Oh, it's the pup. It's the pup. What a good boy. Sorry, my neighbor just brought their dog outside and I saw him. It was a good pup. So a big part of me working in here is finding the stuff that I then work on. I have a few things that I'm selling today. So a big part of it is walking around and finding stuff. It's supposed to rain later today though, so I think that will be an adventure for another day. But for the time being, right, projects today. I'm saving this for later. I'm going to cut those pieces to the right size. I'm going to take this chair apart and see just what it needs to have done to it. And then I'm going to set that up. So, cutting the wood, taking the chair apart, putting it back together, getting the top surface clear on this, and see what else I need to do to the sides and the legs. I think I'll go through it. This will be a project piece. And then I'll cut something for this too. And there's a lot of stuff I'm going to do there, but I'll let you know more specifically when I get there.
I said I think they're out to get me, but it's getting hard to tell.
Alright, so next thing I'm gonna do, I haven't done the research yet. I don't know how to fix wicker. From my understanding, it's not easy, or I don't know if it's even possible to just repair wicker. I imagine it involves, what I would do is my instinct would be to take it apart and then try and weave it back together, gluing any crossovers as they happen with like a super glue. Would be the only thing I can think of, but I feel like even the super glue is gonna lose it's not gonna have the strength of it. Not that wicker is really strong, and when it's so old it just becomes brittle. I feel like the only option is to replace it all, which is, again, I don't even know how you do that. You must have to take apart, there's a ring it looks like here. Oh, there's like, I'll show you. It looks like there is a ring that if this is just a sheet and it's sticking over the edge by, say, it's sticking over the edge. So if this is just a sheet and it's like sticking out, imagine this is the sheet, this rag, and it just like sticks out and it's a square shape, so it just sticks out. Then there is a ring that's right there, focus please, there's a ring that then you push in and then you just trim the outside. So that's not impossible to do. For the center, for sure, the back might be a little interesting. Fortunately, behind it is, other than this little weird spot, which this little weird spot I need to look closer at because it looks like that might have been repaired at some point. See what they did. It wasn't repaired well because it's pretty obvious, but first things first, the chair is quite wobbly, so I think I'm going to go ahead and, it's pretty wobbly. I'm gonna go ahead and start taking it apart. One of the things I learned from the antique videos, I've been watching Thomas Keller Antiques and a few other antique restorers. I think it's like Grizzly Bear Antiques or something. I don't know. Big bear of a man. Is you want to take the time to look at the piece, take it apart. This one, you can see on the bottom, it's got these legs that are in by these blocks. I was told that this was someone's grandmother's, a little like powder stool. She had it for a long time and wanted it to go to a good home. I've never seen a wicker chair that swiveled before. Oh, I didn't even show off really. I just sort of did without thinking. It swivels. I've never seen a wicker chair with a swivel before, or a wicker stool. It's very comfy to sit in, and I quite like how it sits in the lower back. I love the short back chairs. But I'm going to try and take it apart, see how it comes apart, and then see what I can do to it. I might see how much a sheet of wicker costs. Mail. Yeah, so, but I'm gonna not do it in time lapse. I'm gonna keep it going. So, this is the part here. Okay. What we got here? Well, that's easy enough. That is a cotter pin. Ooh, I need a cup. Cup. I love to-go containers. I save them all because they are great for holding hardware, and you can label them and then never worry about losing hardware for stuff. Hopefully when I take this apart, I'll find a maker's mark or something to indicate who, where, or what made it. Give me a better idea of the age too. You can take a look. Let's see if that will focus, but look at just that. How warped that has become. I don't know if that's showing up. How warped it's become. But now, theoretically, this should. It's not coming off easily. Which means it gets a little, ooh. Is that gonna come apart? All of those oh no. Okay, so I'm glad I noticed that. A ton of bearings are gonna fall out. It's got a bunch of bearings in there. Oh geez, okay. So that means I want to have it be resting either like this or like that. I'm gonna wiggle it. Shit. That's what I thought was gonna happen there. Okay, looks like that's going to be the most of them. That gives me an idea about the age of the piece. So it tells me they weren't thinking about. Either they weren't thinking about how to do it, or they didn't have the technology to make it somewhat sensible. Okay. The screws are the same antique screws. I'm fairly certain I've heard a few places that these antique flathead screws have been made by the same company in the same way for the last, since the 1700s, late 1700s. When was America colonized? I don't know. So now that we've got the piece apart, I'm going to take out all these bearings, which could definitely use some grease. That's good to know. I'm going to take these out and show you the inside of this after I get it a little clean. I'm going to turn this off and clean it.
You normally don't get to see them. sense of smell. They claim to boast a brand new fragrance as hot lava fills your eyes. It's a common form of ambush. Blindness is a good disguise. The perfume lady's gonna get ya.
Oh, took a couple pieces off. Noticed the shims and things to get this at a certain level, I guess. Or yeah, I guess it'd have to be pretty level. Unfortunately, I don't see a mark of any sort on this, on the circle, the rotatey bit. But it is made of a really, really old, I mean, the style, it's like, you can tell it's just an old casting of casting. I don't know the full detail, but I know that this type of ironworking is certainly not, I would say, yeah, this is definitely an antique. It's not a remake. It's not like a mid-century remake, I don't think. I think this is truly old. I mean, this is what she said it was her grandmother's, and that it would have been, you know, early 1900s, late 1800s. But again, you never know when you're getting something from somebody. But seems to check out. But doesn't answer any questions of the exact date, manufacturer, any of that. Well, it gives me a bit of an idea. What I have noted, I spent the time to take at least one of these off. This one actually, they tried to screw in. These legs are all very wobbly, and I've discovered why is because they've actually broken in the middle. And just from the way a stool is used, just from years, and they wobble, and that whole middle section is just garbage. Now, I'm trying to think of ways I could fix it. Obviously, taking it all the way apart, fixing each individual thing, and then putting it back together would probably give me the sturdiest solution. But as far as maintaining the integrity of the piece, I'm also trying to figure out if it was I think it was originally painted. I can't quite tell from the rest of it what the original finish was on it, because this gold looks like it was done not original, but maybe I'm wrong. It only looks like it has had one coat of paint, so maybe I'll chip away a little bit and see if there's stain under it. But anyway, to fix this, I'm guessing there's dowels in here on either side, and that's been sunk together that way. I'm guessing. I could try and pull this apart, but I'd really need to take the whole thing apart, and I'm debating whether I'm doing that yet. But the way that I'm thinking would be best to repair this. It's clear that this middle section is the problem and needs to be stronger and more supportive. Because it has back support, and that's not the issue. It's this whole thing, the wood is broken. I think what I would need to do is cut a channel in each of these legs for that middle section, cut it into this part, reassemble it, and then put a piece to slot in there, and then glue that together. I think that's what I need to do. I'm just debating whether I have in my shop currently the ability to do that. I'm getting like 20 messages. I don't know if I have the ability to do that repair. What would I need? I would need a router and a template. Because I'd need to cut down in there. I do have chisels, but I don't trust my chisel work to, especially since this is, I would need a template, and I would go in and cut basically I want a straight line though. I want a straight notch. That's an easier template, but straight notch, router in, scoop, and just, would I even need, I'd still take it. I wouldn't even need to take these off really. Well, but I want to reglue them anyway. So my options for this are put it back together and leave it the way it is and worry about it later. Because this is one thing. Actually, I'll take a look at, yeah. I think I'm going to take it apart. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take it all the way apart. Yeah. Disassemble the whole thing. Because I want to re-glue the whole thing since it's... But, yeah, since I'm going to have to fix these, I want to re-glue these. Maybe I'll keep this circle intact if it stays intact. But take the thing apart. I'll take a look at this, which I'm going to do right now. I think that... Maybe I'll take that plate off and see if I can figure out more. This, the circles started to come apart as well. I really could do a bit of work on this top part to get it together. It basically would be turning into a full restoration. But I think this would be a good piece to practice my restoration on. And I've never done wicker before. So let's go for it. Yeah. Take the whole thing apart. I don't know if I'm going to keep the white paint. I don't know if it's original or not. I'll do some research on that. But I can still take the whole thing apart. And I think I'm going to try and do the wicker. I'm going to try and replace the wicker now that I have an idea of how it's done. I just need to buy a wicker sheet. Maybe I could see if I can find a stronger wicker sheet. And then just tamp it in there. Gotta figure out what exactly this is. It looks like it's been malleted in or something. But take the whole thing apart. I definitely don't want to sand all of these grooves. That would suck. Maybe I won't refinish the top. I might have to. You know what? We'll see. We'll see. But I know I'm going to take it apart, mostly so I can store it in a slightly smaller space. Because if it's just this seat with the pieces that can rest on top of it, I can store it up, you know, in a pocket somewhere for when I get or figure out a better way to cut that slot out. Cut out this with a router or something. So, go back to disassembly.
A business blouse is set to kill. Be on the lookout for her samples. And then something rocks would kill. If you see a pretty lady, locking eyes and full of charm, she is probably just a decoy for the other two to do you.
So, just went through that, did not stop the stop motion. For disassembling the bottom, you know, I ended up cutting some of the dowels. And a couple things. The reason why I went the way I did with disassembling this is at some point I thought there might have been nails in here. I couldn't figure out how they actually got it together because they did actually use dowels in this part, and just, I mean, trying to shove a dowel in two or three different spots at the same time is very, it's just cumbersome. So I thought they might have nailed those in, but they didn't. They glued and doweled everything. But I'm trying to find the piece where I did it. Yeah. I thought there was nails because there was these little holes. And this one? I don't know. But they did these little, there's divots here, so I thought there might have been nails. But when I sanded it down, I noticed that the white's not the original paint color. So that sort of changed my opinion on what I was going to do with it. I also don't even know if it was originally painted. It looks like, from what I can tell on this piece, the top, I'm going to try and clean that down a little bit. This is vinegar, by the way. The top has this like gray bleh, and it has this like brown paint level on it, which I think is more, I mean the white clearly was put on after, but I think that's original. This, whatever this finish was or what it looked like. So the hardware's old. My dating, I don't have an explanation as to why I think this is, but I think this is a 1920s recreation. Something about the paint, something about the assembly that's like partially looks like it's like partially automated, industrialized, but then also still handcrafted elements, or hand assembled at points, which is just trying to gauge when, in the industrial complex that would have happened. It vibes with me that this would be early 1900s. Again, sort of makes sense for when I do research on it. But what I think I noticed, I'm curious, these two pieces are they're two pieces. And these cover over it, that seam. I'm not sure if these are just for the leveling of the plate or if these actually have something to do with those pieces. I'm just trying to figure out how they put it together the first time. I sawed the thing apart, because I some of the angles. I mean, I broke off a bunch of these pieces, which I'm not too worried about because I'm going to just cut a notch. I'm just going to cut a slot all the way through. They're pretty. They've been repaired. It's been repaired before just by people filling in the glue with putty or more glue and dowels and stuff. But I'm going to stick with my original plan, which is somehow, either when I get a router, which will be soon, or maybe I could just saw, if I mark it straight, I could just saw a nice clean line through every one of these pieces, to just put a big notch of wood through there, and then just making sure that they line up with the other things. Which will be easy for the ones where I didn't have to cut the dowels, and a bit more difficult were the ones I did. Actually, no, because I'm gonna have to cut whatever. I'm gonna cut a notch, probably into this about half an inch, yeah. Obviously the right way, yeah. Oh, my head's probably out of frame. All this is probably out of frame. But yeah, I need to figure out how to do the angling on this. I don't want to use the front-facing camera because I think it's a worse camera? Question mark? I don't know. Maybe I'll just do that. I don't really care about the quality. I'll do that next time. But yeah, so this is disassembled. I'm going to double check all my labels, which I did in Sharpie again because it's going to all be cut out primarily, or covered up, so I don't really care. And it's been refinished several times. So as far as the antique value of the piece, it still has antique value, but the finish is not a part of that antique value. So I'm not going to be as delicate with the finish because I'm just going to refinish the whole thing. There's one piece I chipped off that I'm going to glue back on because I can. But a lot of it I'm going to have to just deal with, fix. I'm not going to glue that on. Missing a couple pieces. But yeah, check labels. And then I'm going to take the base off of the top, but I don't think I'm going to disassemble the top. I'm going to keep that together for now until I figure out how much it costs to buy wicker. Right.
The perfume lady's gonna get ya. Her business blouse is set to kill. Be on the lookout for her samples. And then something rhymes with kill. The perfume lady's gonna get ya. Her business blouse is set to kill.
Okay, so this is a mid-century, which is like 40s, 50s, 60s, somewhere in there, or I don't know exactly how antique it is. It's got that rich people vibe of like an expensive finish, but not a lot of. It doesn't. I don't know. I'm not sure just how valuable the piece really is, or will be. But it's a really cool thing because it's got the sliding front doors, like a roll top desk, but in the front, which I think is really neat. But the finish has been damaged pretty badly. The top was like almost, I've done a little bit of work, but the top was missing a section of finish, as big as my face. So I know I need to take this off. I'm not sure. I think I will take the finish off the sides. I don't want to disassemble this whole thing, really. I want to keep it together just because I don't want to worry about breaking something when I pop this apart. Cherry hilted? I don't know. This is the base plate that the legs screw into. And here are the roll front doors in question. Now these I do not want to refinish, just because I like that seems like a lot of work. So I'd rather not refinish those. Would rather not. They slide around in the front. I'd rather not refinish those. The back piece is pretty nasty though. I don't know. I know that I'm going to redo this top, and I know that I'm going to sand down and finish the legs. I'm going to totally remove the stuff from the top, but I think I'm just going to sand down and reseal the legs with this is like a thicker varnish than with my polyurethane. I'm going to reseal it with something, but I'm just going to sand those down. These, I can't decide. I don't want to refinish them all. It's because that's a lot of like tedious work, and I don't do well with tedium. This is the back piece. This is the last piece. Back piece, I kind of want to keep the back piece the original stain, just so that like part of it is, since you don't really see it. I like being able to see the heritage of a piece, seeing the like repairs that have been done and the breaks that have happened over the age of it. I think that really adds to the experience of owning an old piece of furniture. Olding an old piece of furniture. But what is that in there? Yeah, I certainly could refinish the inside and redo. I could refinish this whole ass thing. But I think that would take away from the value. I think part of the value is the finish. I also am not super confident in my finishing skills. But that's kind of what I'm here for, to build that confidence. And I now know that my garage stays heated enough to keep finishing stuff over the winter. Well, regardless, I need to eat a little bit of food, so I'm going to put some stripper on this top. I have the stripper that's been sitting in here. I'll see if it works. If not, then it worked on another piece pretty well. But got this stripper, going to put it on the top. I know I'm redoing the top, so I'm going to at least get that done. And then get going.
Be on the lookout for her samples, and then something rhymes with kill.
Right, so come back. It's crackled up nicely. Hope that it scrapes up nicely too, right? Hey, that's not so bad. Yeah, get all that junk out of there. Nice. Ah, that's amazing. That's not quite done. But a lot of this coming right up, which is grand. The rest I can get the rest of it. This one It'll come up. It'll all come up. Nice. I just need a cup or something to put that junk in. Trash. Right? Love when things work.
I just want to get some towels on, maybe get some slacks and running through the bright cosmetics to avoid the sneak attacks. Then I reach the escalator and head down to bargain deck, and then I sniff the air with caution. She's coming out the other way. The perfume lady's gonna get ya.
Finish sanding up those things. I'm gonna build something, but my stomach's a little rumbly, so I'm gonna finish, touch up, paint this. A few spots were a little marked, and then touch up paint, let it dry, polyurethane, the whole thing. I really like this. This is a piece I made out of, these are old chair legs that I painted, and these are just a couple of corner shelves that I found, like they would cut like this when I found them. One of the cool things, trash projects that come together and look, I'm pretty pleased with. So, finishing up a little bit of the touch-up work, and letting that dry.
Her business blouse is set to kill. Be on the lookout for her samples, and then something rhymes with kill. The perfume lady's gonna get ya. Her business blouse is set to kill. Be on the lookout for her samples, and then something rhymes with kill.
Right. So this is an old speaker. We had them sitting around here for a while. Had a fair few of them. I spray painted it with this pattern on it, which I quite like the pattern, because it'll be another end table sort of thing. I also have a couple unique cut pieces that I think will sit nicely in there, and you could put like a piece of art or something in there too. Actually, I should tell Jim my name about that. But the top of it was a lesson in how not to use every attachment. I just did not do this well. I tried to put it on with dowels before I had a dowel joiner, so they didn't line up, which if you ever try and use dowels, buy one of those stupid dowel joiner things, because that will save your ass so many times. So didn't work. Got trying to get fitted on, it broke, so I ended up breaking it more and doing a design with it, just screwing and gluing it, and then covering the screw holes with dowel pins. But that didn't work either, so now I've got, because this broke off, wasn't strong enough, too much pressure. So I'm gonna take this stuff off, and I've got a piece of oak from home that I'm gonna fashion into a top for this. Don't quite know how exactly I'm going to yet. I think I might make just a square and then 45 cut all around it. Yeah, I think that's what I will do. Right, so I cut out this piece for the top of that thing, and I'm gonna take the table saw and cut 45s all along the edge, so I can round them nicer and have a bit more of a finished look. keep pulling this table saw out to do stuff with it. And other than a few cuts with it, I just do not feel comfortable doing a lot of things with it. I mean, I know a lot of stuff that I could do with it, but it's small, and I've had bad experiences with table saws in the past, and it's just one of those tools that, for the time being and for the state that my shop is in and where I'm at, it's usually not. I can do something else 95% of the time that I'm much more comfortable doing. This is just not a super stable table saw, and it doesn't have a very wide table part. I guess actually I could almost make it so that it has, but it doesn't have a wide table, and that makes me uncomfortable. Because like I'd like to pass it through, I don't want to pass it through on the fence, because I'm cutting what I'm pushing against, I'm going to be pushing right against the blade, which seems like a bad idea. And it's not wide enough to pass it through on this side. Or even with the, oh yeah, on the other side. So, it shall wait until I have a smaller project to work on. I'm going to cut the miters with the circ saw. A tool that I feel very comfortable with. Right. What can you see? Yeah, so, don't do that. I knew what I was doing. I knew what was gonna happen when I did it. I put it, so I was using the wrong side fence, and I cut it in such a way so that I still had a little bit of a thing to press against to have against the wall, and it was just cutting away that sliver. But because of the way the table saw was when it's angled as such, the little tiny piece shot backwards, which I was expecting, which is why I was standing over here and I knew the piece was going to shoot. I mean, the blade was in the way, so it's going to shoot straight back. So it ended up hitting this pillow, which will give you a good idea of what that little tiny piece might have done. It's just a little cushion, but certainly would not have been fun to get at roughly the height that the table saw tends to shoot things back at. But I did that knowing that that was going to happen, which does not make it any safer. But at least I knew what I was doing. Anyway, I got the result I wanted, which is nice edges that I can sand down to make even nicer. And I did that with a table saw in a method which I just, A, because I thought of it at the time, that I hadn't thought of it before, and B, because all of my batteries are dead, and I kind of want to get this, not done, but at least this top prepped, so I can glue that on there tomorrow. So, know what you're doing, and if you want to do a stupid thing, at least know what stupid thing you're doing. Right, so, here's top piece. Pretty pleased with it. Like the edges on it. I really do like 45s. I wish I had a slightly larger table on my table saw to cut those a bit more safely. Although if I cut it the other way, it would still kind of shoot out. Yeah, but however you slice it, I need to repaint this. I did a really bad spray paint job on it. This was before I was taking myself as seriously as I am now. Not that I take myself incredibly seriously in general, but I've got to now we gotta glue the top on, which I will do tomorrow. I'll do some point. And what are we gonna do? And then we gotta finish it. I'm gonna use. Can you see this? This metal chair frame. I'm gonna use these broken pieces, and I'm gonna cut. I think I'm gonna buy a router. I think I'm gonna do that tonight before I forget. That will be a nice Christmas gift to myself, because then I can do a lot of these. I wouldn't even need to. I would have routed this edge and given it a shape. Yeah, I think that'll be really nice. Oh, well, we're on to clean up and getting done. Yeah, pretty productive day.